Look at it this way. A choice between Ken Paxton and Talarico is not voting for the lesser of two evils. One is evil. One has made it very clear that not only when you look at him, you don't see yourself, but when he looks at you, he doesn't see you. Well, and welcome to Not Your Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Ken Paxton and Talarico, the race that's heated up today in the Senate for Texas, and we're also going to discuss our military overseas and on the shores today, and how Petey Kegsbreath is dropping the ball in every way. This is Christina from Christina Talks Tea, and now I'm going to turn the mic over to my favorite lady, Veronica, baby.
Hey, sweetheart, how are you? Yeah, and so I have been actually itching to talk about the James Talarico and the Ken Paxton situation here in Texas because I know that you know that I actually went to go see Talarico when he was here in DeSoto. Well, I'm not at DeSoto, but when he went to DeSoto. And one of the things that has been out there quite a bit in reference to Talarico is the division between black voters and the entire situation with Jasmine Crockett. And I want to touch on that a little bit later on, but I also feel like it's important, and I think that you would agree that it is super important for us to highlight not only the positives about James Talarico, but also talking about what they've accomplished as people representatives for the state of Texas. So I want to talk and bring all of that to light because one of the things that chapped my ass, and we were just talking about that just a few minutes ago, was when Lieutenant Dan decided to come onto the stage and talk about, and we're talking about the rolling trick. He decided to come on, Greg Abbott decided to come onto the stage and talk about how, I actually just started laughing, talk about how it is that Talarico is only about the transgender population. What are you talking about? Like, they will reach for any fucking straw to try to.
Honey, where is my baby powder? Because I need to slap the rolling trick, baby. He sat up there yesterday and tried to drive this wedge in the black community with transgender talking points, saying that the black community doesn't even support the transgender community, which just is mind-boggling to me, being from Mobile, Alabama, where Miss Cox is from, one of the most world-famous transgender actors in our history. Okay? Like,
Right,
who's the most famous drag queen? That's a black man named
right.
RuPaul, honey.
RuPaul,
Yeah,
right,
yeah. I
exactly.
spent I spent my early adult life partying in gay clubs and in the queer community where the population and the demographic was primarily black, baby. So he can take that and shove it all the way up his flat. You know what I'm about to say, honey.
He needs to take
Just
a seat and stay there. Oh, that's right.
well.
That's all he can do, right?
Go ahead and take a stand, rolling trick. Won't you stand up and say that with your full chest, baby?
Right,
Just
exactly.
just
Well,
go
and
on
not
and
only
say it.
that, he's trying to drive a wedge between black communities and brown communities because he was also talking about how, all he's wanting to do is actually advocate for Latinos and not do anything for the black population. And my question to that entire situation is, what has he done in the entire time that he's been in office for any community, especially the black community? Like, get so fucking for real
Yeah,
when it
be
comes
for
to
real,
that
baby,
bullshit.
because I went through the checklist of everything you've done, Greg Abbott, and so far, from what I can see, every move you made has been against the Latino and the black community.
Exactly. So him trying to stand 10 toes down that way in terms of trying to, because he knows that Ken Paxton is really struggling because that some of his donors have pulled back from him
I seen
because
that.
they do not support the things that he's done and continues to do, even though he's actually supposed to be campaigning right now. He's out there with his girlfriend having a
Buying
vacation.
properties and going on vacation and doing everything he can to prove that he is not for Texas.
Exactly. He really is. And the recent report, because they come out and they try to attack, I mean, some of these ads that were against during the uh during the primaries, where they were talking about how he doesn't eat meat and he's a vegetarian and I mean, golly, that is the worst that you can dig up on this man. What does that tell you? If that is the absolute worst, and there's this man that's saying, I've been eating beef since the day I was born. But why do you have to drag up something like that? That is just
Because that's
so
all they
pathetic.
have. They
That's
can't say that he's committed fraud. They can't
mm-mm,
say that he's abused women. They can't
mm-mm,
say that he's abused children.
mm-mm.
There's nothing they can say. So they're honing in on his diet, and he's not even a vegan. So, you're not even honing in on anything that's remotely true
Exactly. Yeah,
whatsoever. But what blows my mind is that my whole life growing up, Texans are always so proud to be Texans.
right.
Always.
Yeah.
Ken Paxton's not a Texan. He wasn't born there. He wasn't raised there. He doesn't even buy properties there.
Nope. Nope.
He's never devoted any of his time into Texas to do anything from Texas, but he has devoted a lot of his time into Texas taking from Texas.
Exactly. You
Meanwhile,
know
James
that
Talarico was born in Texas, raised in Texas, was a school teacher in Texas, was a Texas legislator. Everything he's ever done has been for Texas.
Texas. He's an eighth generation Texan. I mean, how much more Texan can you get? 8 generations. And this man is sitting there talking about how he's not for Texas. And honestly, when I was looking up all of the information regarding Ken Paxton, because there's so much that you can talk about when it comes to him and the things that he's done, how is it that you were impeached 121 to 23? That's how badly they wanted to make sure that this man was no longer in office. That was the vote. That was the final vote for them to go ahead and call for articles of impeachment. And that was the vote. So it's just crazy to me that this man has scandal after scandal after scandal, and they continue to go ahead and let these scandals just go by the wayside, but they continue to come up.
Well,
It's
he
just
don't have
crazy
as
to me.
many scandals as the president, so
Well,
I guess they figure that's okay, so I mean, he hasn't committed as many crimes as the president, so we'll abide his crimes just like we abide the orange guy's crimes. The requirements to be a member of the GOP as of late make
it
you
is
question a few things.
insane to me. Okay, so let's go back to the properties that you were talking about. When we're talking about the properties, there's some stories that are saying that he's got 11, there's others saying that he's got 13, there's others saying that he's got 16, and these properties are everywhere, Christina.
Yeah, yeah,
Everywhere. They're
absolutely.
um they're in Utah, they're in Hawaii. He's got, I think, I want to say like 4 in Florida.
We've got
He's got
Oklahoma, Florida, Utah, Hawaii, California, and the list goes on and on. He's got $9 million worth of properties.
So how is it that you have $9 million worth of properties and your base salary is $153,000 a year? How does that happen? So you have to wonder, what are we doing and how is it that you're able to collect so many properties? And the thing about it is that there may be more, but because he's hiding them behind blind trust, that's an issue, right? So we don't really know what the entirety of his portfolio is, simply because he's got them in other blind trusts, which
Yeah,
is a
we
problem.
we know that his net worth when he got into politics in Texas just a short few years ago was around $200,000. Today, his net worth is topping out over 9 million.
Which is insane. Insane. That I just when I started looking at all of this stuff, and I'm just like, this is crazy to me. How do we allow this kind of corruption to continue on in everything that we do? But it has a lot to do with also who is in the governor's seat right now, right? Like, I mean, you can get away with that kind of shit because they work together. They are a team of so many things I can't say. Because it just continues, and it's
Just a
so
little
it's
team
so
of hoes doing the work for their pimp today, so, tricking
it's
themselves.
It's really bad. It's really, really bad. And I was also looking into, so if you were to go down to some of the values when we talk about conservatives, true conservatives, and talking about Christian values, where in the Bible, not, at least not the Bible that I've read, where does it talk about how it is that it is okay to take from the poor and give to the rich, or okay for you to go ahead and covet your neighbor's wife and do all of the things that he's done? He
Because
is
in their form
absolutely.
of Christianity, all they have to do is say, God, I made a mistake and I want forgiveness. Please, I didn't mean to abuse those children, rape those women, and steal from my constituents. Am I forgiven? And in their mind, they're instantly forgiven. And I've said
And
it
that's
before and I'll say it again. How the hell do you know you've been forgiven? Because Judgment Day does not come until you've passed away and you've made it to the pearly gates. So,
that's true.
how can you self claim that God has forgiven you? You have no clue if God has forgiven you. In this assumption that all sins can be forgiven, you need to open up your book again. And you need to read what Jesus said directly about his Father and the counting of sins, because not all sins are forgiven.
That it's just the ideologies and the passages in the Bible are adjusted to what it is that they do and the actions that they take. And that will always be the case. The hypocrisy between a Christian nationalist and a true Christian, which is what you can see in terms of the difference between James Talarico and Ken Paxton. Because James Talarico when I saw him just a few days ago, I can tell you, I mean, I know that there's still a lot of people that have issue with James Talarico, and I truly believe that it stems around, the way that it went down here in Dallas County specifically, between Crockett and James Talarico. I know that there is a lot of resentment there. I know that a lot of that resentment even starts or stems still from, Kamala losing. And there is a lot of a lot of them in the Black community, in my opinion, and based on all of the things that I've seen and heard here on social media and apart from social media, that feel betrayed by the system in general. And I
Which
can
is
absolutely empathize with that.
completely justifiable to feel that way
Valid,
on every
very
single
valid.
level. That is a
Hmm.
justifiable feeling today because
Valid.
it's truth, it's based in fact.
Right. It is
Period. End of
100%.
sentence. I
Yes.
think some
Yes.
of the voters in Texas need to understand, some of the people on the internet that are trying to push this narrative that Talarico is not going to do anything for the Black community. First off, they don't even live in Texas. And
Right.
secondly, they have no clue what they're talking about. And half the time it's some white woman who's an extreme leftist who's inviting Nazis to come sit at the damn table to talk to her. So a lot of it you just got to throw out the window.
Right.
You just got to throw it out.
Right.
I'm not saying you got to throw out the fight to have strong, powerful, smart, intelligent Black leaders. No,
Hmm.
we still need to strive for that every day. They still need representation here. But
Right.
from what I can see from Talarico and his responses and the way that he's handling this situation, he is absolutely going to help Black communities and brown communities. Unlike the Republicans, honey.
Right.
They're not going to do anything for the Latino
Mm-mm.
community. They're not going
Mm-mm.
to do anything for the Black community. They have proved that over and over and over and over again. It's not going to happen. It is the Republicans who eviscerated the Voting Rights Act. It is
Right.
the Republicans who redistricted and gerrymandered their states. It is the Republicans who are actively taking away every right of everybody here that we only had because Black Americans fought for it in the first place, dear.
Exactly. I mean, they are some of the strongest voices in America, and they are one of they are the demographic that is squashed between the brown and the Black people. They are squashed all of the time, and it just really makes me so sad because some of the strongest Americans were Black women.
That's right.
Black women. And
That's right.
it just drives me insane. And I absolutely empathize. I mean, I voted for Jasmine Crockett. She was the person that I wanted to
That's who I
represent
wanted
us, and
to.
that's who I wanted.
I'm not
Now,
in Texas. I didn't get to vote, but I
right,
campaigned for her.
I did.
because I
I
wanted her.
wanted her to
I
win.
knew going
Mm,
in that it would be Talarico because racism is strong here in the United States, and
right.
our
Right.
elections are not fair in
Right.
that sense, in the
Right.
sense that we don't promote black candidates.
Right.
So
I mean,
I
we were
knew in my
lucky.
heart of hearts that she wouldn't, but that didn't stop me from continuing to push that message that she
And I
is the
know, and you did
candidate.
it. I heard you doing it constantly. And I went to the polls thinking, you know what, I hope that we can get past the fact that this specific state is so fucking racist. But I didn't have confidence in that. But I knew that we had two amazing candidates, and I was okay with either one of them. I preferred Jasmine, but if Talarico won, I was 100% okay with it. And the more I read into Talarico and the things that he's done for Texas, just based on the fact that, when he was in the House, he was working on bipartisan issues. He was able to reach across the aisle and try to get things passed, whereas Ken Paxton specifically only works with his party and never
That's
like
right.
gives an olive branch over to the other side. He's only ever worked for the Republican side, and that is it. And that is the difference between these two candidates. That is one of the main of so many differences between the two, is that James Talarico has proven over and over again that he is working for the people. And just as an example, who the fuck volunteers to be a teacher for the middle schoolers? Because oh my God,
Honey,
that has to be one of the hardest ones. They're going into their little hormones. They've got a lot of stuff
they
going on.
stink. Honey, they smell bad. Have y'all ever been around a
A middle
boy
schooler?
going through
Oh,
puberty, honey? It's
mm-mm.
there's not enough deodorant in the world to make them smell fresh, baby. There's just not. They're,
I
they're
mean, that is,
greasy, they're
oh
angry, they're sad, they're emotional on every level of the emotional scale.
my
I couldn't
God.
do it. Teenagers are so,
That is somebody working. That is somebody working with the heart of God for real.
for real.
Because you can't do that voluntarily. I mean, honestly, if I were to be a school teacher, which I knew I could never do, because I would end up in jail. Go to jail for real. There's no way. There is absolutely no way. So that alone, but he stands up and he said when he was talking this last time how he's going to make sure that the teachers are actually compensated properly because of all the people on this effing planet. Teachers should be compensated more. Period. End of sentence. There's nothing else to discuss. These are the people that are bringing up the next generation and the next generation and the next generation of adults and human beings. Aside from the parents, this is the most exposure a child will get to an adult
Yep,
is through a
yep.
teacher. And they are discredited and treated so badly here in this country. It is absolutely vile. And the
It is
fact
Val.
that it's so bad, the fact that Ken Paxton and his entire party are trying to privatize schooling here in Texas just so that they can go ahead and have the poor communities in one place and the rich communities in another is again equally vile. And he's
I mean,
trying to
we're
make sure
we're
that that
watching
is
the Republican
completely,
Party destroy education in America.
oh God,
Destroy it. They don't
to say
want you
the
going to
least.
college.
Mm-mm,
They don't want you
mm-mm,
having access
they
to
don't.
an education.
Nope.
That's something that they've decided is for privileged white Americans.
That is exactly right. That is
Because
exactly
they
right.
know the more you're educated, the less likely you're going to be to fall for some bullshit. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's, I mean, I did a video on it the other day, just clips from all the time on fake Fox News. They said the problem with the Democratic Party is they're too educated.
My God.
What?
They make my head hurt. Like literally,
I
I just
grew up
got a
in a
pain right
time when
here.
we were told there's no such thing as a wrong question. That there's no such thing as asking a stupid question. There's no such thing as asking a wrong question. I grew up in a time where education was shoved down our throats. If we wanted a
Mm-hmm.
better life, we had to
Yep.
have an education. And the
Right.
Republican Party is telling you today that no, your children don't need to be educated. They can work in labor jobs. And I'm
Right.
not diminishing labor jobs. I come from a family who worked in labor jobs. My
Hmm.
stepfather was a floor man. My brother was a framer. He framed houses. My other brother did HVAC, and today he owns his own construction company. I come from blue collar, hardworking Americans who
Right.
labored.
Right.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Haven't generation after generation, the only wish and dream we had for our children is that their life would be easier than ours?
Exactly.
That's it. You
That's
want your
ever been
children
the
to be
dream.
happy, healthy, and you want their life to be easier than yours. Even if you had a semi easy life, a good job, you own a home, you had a retirement, you still want better for your children than you had.
That would always be the case. Absolutely. Any
But
parent
that's
that
that's not what we see from Republicans any
mm-mm,
day. They don't have
no.
any interest in your children's life being better than yours. They don't.
None.
None.
No. And they want to be able to have control over the education system, ban the books that do not that actually whitewash American history. And that is their form of indoctrination in trying to make sure that the people that go to school in the rich, white, purified societies actually get the information that only they want, so that when they go and they throw down the laws or they say that this is how it's going to be and that's how the cow ate the cabbage, they're going to follow those rules. And how many times has it happened where you have a pastor's daughter or a pastor's son or something like that that were indoctrinated early in life, and that backfires every fucking
It
time?
backfires every time. I live in the Bible Belt of the South. And I grew up around people who were the daughters and sons of the pastors and the preachers and the clergy and everyone else. And when it was time to party, you knew where to go to get the substances to party, and you knew that the preacher's daughter was a hoe. They all grew up to be some of the most scandalous teenagers, honey.
I watched Footloose. Did you
Just
watch?
absolutely scandalous. And the reason that it was that way is because, well, mama and daddy could get them out of trouble.
Right.
The
And,
pastor's
and that's
daughter
true.
didn't get in trouble
Mm-mm.
for being a hoe. The pastor's son didn't get in trouble when he got behind the wheel of a car at the age of 16, intoxicated, and took the life of somebody else.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
it's. And I want to talk one more thing about the education and privilege and private school and the elite. There's this misconception in America that when you have access to, private schools, that you are somehow more educated than others. So let me remind all of you, Donald Trump had access to some of the greatest schools on the planet. He went to college too. Petey Keg's breath graduated from Harvard. These are not the brightest people.
No,
These are not
not
the
the
brightest
sharpest
people.
knife in the drawer at
But
all.
some of the most intelligent people who have made the greatest changes in America went to poor, underfunded public schools.
Absolute hard facts.
So
Hard
pretending
facts.
like private schools or these passes to get your kid into a private school
Right.
is somehow going to provide them with a better education is a false narrative.
Narrative. Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yep.
false narrative.
It 100% is. It's just a way for them to actually control the situation. That is all that they're doing when they do that kind
That's
of
it.
stuff, is they're
That's
trying to
it.
control the narrative. That's it. And it'll every single time it's going to backfire. And people will, oh God, talking about education drives me insane that they now have the 10 commandments here in Texas in the classrooms. It's so gross. The other thing that really drives me crazy, and I know that this is going to be controversial for some people, but for me, I can tell you straight up that I understand why it is that they want to make sure that social media is not a thing in the high schools and the schools. I get it, because social media can be so toxic to children. But at the same time, I have a really hard time with the fact that they don't want these kids to have their phones in the classrooms, because how often do people come in with guns into the classrooms and these children have no way to contact their parents to let them know what's going on
It's not
because they've
just about
taken away.
contacting parents. We've seen in cases of school shootings where the first ones to notify the police were children in the
Exactly.
classroom
On
with
their
their phone.
phones. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I
I
have
know it's
I
a
I have
contested
massive
issue, but
issue.
at the end of the day, a phone can be a source of protection.
They
And the
certainly
current
can.
regime knows that
Mm-hmm.
because every time they get out here and do something crazy in the streets, it's us and our phones that capture the crimes they're committing.
Exactly. The
And it
phones
could
are
be the same
evidence.
way in school for children. You can't
Hmm.
trust every teacher not to abuse your
No,
child. So I want
no,
my
girl.
child to have her phone just in case she catches a teacher doing something wrong. I want my
Exactly.
child to have a phone just in case some crazy man comes through the door with a gun.
And that's the
Period.
fact. And that's a sad fact that we live here in the United States that that happens all of the fucking time. It's not like once in a while this happens. It's not every so often. It happens more and more and more as time progresses, it has gotten more and more violent. It's gotten more and more frequent, and it's not going to end, not until true reforms and this is actually taken more seriously. I mean, when it comes to the fatback talking about how he needs his ballroom because he doesn't feel safe, like you what about all of the children in the United States that have zero protection because you don't do a fucking thing about what's happening here in the United States?
No, their
It's
answer
absolutely
is to
disgusting.
give weapons to the teachers that we're not sure we can trust. Their answer is to give weapons to the teachers so that maybe an unhinged child can get a hold of the weapon and unalive their own classmates.
Classroom.
That's just
Yeah.
the dumbest idea I've ever heard. I mean,
It's
that's
so
absurd. And
insane.
I'm gonna circle back so we don't get too lost off of the subject of Ken Paxton and Talarico. At the end of the day, Ken Paxton doesn't have experience with children. At the end of the day, that would be Talarico. That would be somebody who's been a teacher who knows how to keep your children safe, who's been inside schools with all the demographics and views them all the same.
Did you
But
know that
Ken Paxton
Talarico
doesn't.
No. Did you know that Talarico actually passed legislation to make sure that pre-K were able to go to school all day to help parents and being able to put their kids into school sooner so that they would have to maybe not have to pay for daycare? Because by the way, did you know that daycare now is just as expensive, if not more, than 1 year in 1 year of college? The comparison in terms of how much you have to pay. So that was a way for him to help parents by having pre-K children able to go to school all day long. It was a way for Texans to find relief when it came to education and also daycare. He did that. He did that for the Texans. There's nothing that I researched that Ken Paxton has done that has been bipartisan, that has shown that he is about the Texas people. There's been nothing. And I've
I can't
looked.
find anything either. I can't find. I
I've
searched
looked
high and low, and I couldn't find anything positive that Ken Paxton's done at all.
at
There's a
all.
lot of negative. I mean, he's okay with white pedophiles, walking the
Oh my,
streets
giving them the minimum.
without being on the registry after only serving 60 days. He's proven over and over again that he's willing to let our children not be safe,
And
is what
it's
he's proven.
when you doesn't it say, isn't there a saying that says that you are the people you hang out with?
Yeah, birds of a feather flock together.
Exactly. So who does he hang out with and who are his best friends? That alone should tell you a lot about who this man is. I mean, he literally has done nothing. He continues to just work for his party. Let's talk about what the other thing that he did while he was serving the American people or the Texans and the Texas people, how he actually interfered in the 2020 election and questioned the validity of other states' results when it came to the 2020 election, just so that he could please the fact.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
It is so gross. This
That was
man,
one of those
he's over here.
qualifications he needed to
Oh,
get support from the GOP.
e-
You have to be an
exactly.
election denier and a conspiracy theorist too, just like an abuser. It's on that checklist.
All of those things. All of those things. And what about what he did when it came to the I have it written down here. Let me get my notes because there was so many bad things I couldn't remember them all.
I know, I know. I was going
I
through
was
it
just
too, and I
like,
was like, I'm running out of room on the paper. We,
girl,
we,
okay, look at all,
we've
look,
got impeachment, we've got bribes, we've got fraud, we've got obstruction. We, I
front and
mean,
back.
y-
I mean, I'm just like the securities fraud. protection and dismissal agreement that they had where Paxton was indicted in 2015 on state security fraud charges tied to investment solicitations made before he became Attorney General. Like, he pleaded not guilty and maintained his innocence. In 2024, prosecutors agreed to dismiss the charges under a pre-trial agreement requiring nearly $300,000 in restitution, 100 hours of community service, and 15 hours of legal ethics education. He was not convicted, and there was no trial. There was no trial acquittal. Both facts matter when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Well,
The
don't
thing
you
about
love
that
those
is,
famous pre-trial plea agreements, man, that the GOP likes to hand out to each other? Ooh.
exactly. They don't they just let all of that shit just fall to the wayside. They continuously just let this man get away with whatever the fuck. It's absolutely crazy to me. The more I kept reading about it, when it came to, like I said, the impeachment where they voted 121 to 23, and then the Senate, when it went to the Senate, they went ahead and not let it go through. And so he got to stay. But it was just, why do they allow this kind of shit to continue to happen in Texas? Why? Because they all work together.
Making
Exactly. It's all about
money.
money. Did you know did you know that there was a whistleblower talking about a senior aide reported that Paxton in law enforcement in 2020 went over concerns that he was using the Attorney General's office to help Nate Paul?
Yeah, I read that. I read that.
Oh my God. And I was just like, there's been whistleblower after whistleblower. There's been person after person that comes after him and the things that he does. And every single time it comes up for a vote, every single time it comes up before a jury, every time it comes up before any legal authority of any kind, it just gets pushed to the wayside. So it
And they
makes you
refused to
wonder.
answer questions. He stormed off a stage at the press
Yesterday.
conference the other day. He
Yeah,
couldn't even answer a question. He threw a fit and ran off the stage.
he
You
did.
know, the guy that is in the GOP and they're all just so manly, but
Right.
then they scurry like rats in a snake den the
It's
minute you
insane.
ask him a question.
And it was about his properties. He could, why
Yeah, you
can't
can't
you
even
answer the
answer
question?
a question about your properties. You're so proud to travel the globe. You're so proud to spend your money everywhere. You don't want to talk about it?
Why do you suppose? Like, I would be bragging, like, oh, yes, I did this because of this and this and this. You're not talking about it because you know that what this is, you know that what's happening right now with all of these properties, you know how you acquired them and you know that it's not the right
That's
way.
right. That's right. No, let's just talk about how James Talarico looks like Alfred E. Newman. Let's just talk about that. You know, the fatback loves to do that. He's always posting memes. And to me, it tickles me. It proves quite a few things. Firstly, um, Hillary Clinton is still living rent free in the fatback's head. And let
Oh
me
my
tell you
God.
why. Because it was
God.
2016 that she compared Daddy Dumpy Pants to Alfred Newman. That's why. And he never let it go. And he's used the Mad Magazine cover dude to compare to anybody that he disagrees with. And it kind of makes me happy because I know the history of Mad Magazine and I know the history of Alfred E. Newman. I know where it came from, where it began, and what it stood for. So to me, that's a compliment to be compared to the character figure of a magazine that is historically known to be one of the most high-selling magazines in political commentary on the globe.
That's insane to me.
That's
They
that's
think
not
that
a
some
that's
of the,
not a slight. That's a propping up. That's not a
they don't get
slight.
it though. They don't
No,
understand because how many
no.
times I can tell you one of the things that I get criticized about all the time from the MAGA base. It gives me so much joy is that they really, really hate my laugh. They hate it because they're like, oh, you're Kamala's twin sister. I'm like, do you understand that this is not the insult that you think it is? You are comparing me to a charismatic, beautiful, intelligent black woman. Tell me more.
Racists always get upset when you laugh.
Oh my God.
They
I'm just
always get
like, what are
upset when a
you
woman
telling me?
laughs. It doesn't even matter what color her skin is. They hated Hillary laughing too. They're very,
Right.
very joy scares the hell out of them.
It drives them crazy. So, of course, I'm going to laugh even more if that's what gets under your skin. But I mean, I laugh because, and you and I've said this so many times, if we don't laugh at the shit that's going on, we're going to cry. Because I can't tell you how often I want to cry because of the crap that we go through every
That
single
and
day.
these men, these new supposed men in the GOP that take after their dear leader, whose most important thing to him is his image and seeming cool. They're not concerned with actual work. They just everything is about presentation, and we're the coolest and we're the hippest, and all of this. They're some of the dorkiest, weebiest people I've ever met in my life. So laughing at them puts them right where they need to be.
Oh my God, you're not
And
even
that's
kidding
really
about
why it
that.
offends them. That's
It
really
does.
that's a lot of why it offends them for us to laugh at them, because it reminds them you're not cool. You're a dork.
You're a big old dork with a capital
You're a
D.
dork. You're
You're
just a
a
huge
dork.
dweeb, honey. And that's really what goes all through them, is to be
Oh
pointed and
man.
laughed at, which is
Right.
funny to me because they're bullies and they spent their entire life pointing and laughing at shit that wasn't funny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That it's just, and it's never going to end with that, with it when it comes to that kind of stuff. And you know what? I forgot to mention, you know how Jane, we were talking about all of his properties. You know that he's got all of these properties, and his primary residence is supposed to be here in Collin County in McKinney. Yet he went and voted in Austin. He's voted, I believe I saw that he's voted 6 times in
I
two
think
elections.
that's right. Let's see. This is what gets him crazy. He was actually estranged from his wife in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they had a fake reconciliation with each other, but they weren't actually living in the same address all the time.
Right.
Going all the way back
Right.
to 2018.
Right.
Not just when she recently filed divorce last year. He's rarely lived in the residence since 2018, but they did their little fake reconciliation. And then
Mm-hmm.
in 2020, he started running around on her again. He was seen with another lady at resorts. He was caught multiple times going into this lady's apartment. He was basically living in one of his mistress's apartments in
Is this the
2020.
Christian? Was this
I'm,
the
I'm,
Christian that?
I'm sure she claims to be. Who knows that we're on like the 15th mistress at this point, honey.
Right, right.
And but then he had to run again and he's back in the limelight. So supposedly he moved back in with his wife, but then she officially filed for divorce last year in 2025. This whole time from 2018 into 2026, he's been voting using that address when he has scarcely ever even been there.
Been there.
And I
Right.
think the reason that they went ahead and was like, well, she just filed for divorce or whatever, was so that we wouldn't look back and see that all the way back in 2018, he was still voting using her address, even though he was sleeping at his girlfriend's house.
Right. Right. Yeah. And why is it that they haven't
It's not
investigated that?
new. He's been doing it
No.
since 2018.
He's been doing it for a hot minute.
A
I
hot
believe
minute.
that there's 6 different times where he's done this, and they have not done a proper investigation to make sure that this is not the case. They just, again, just let it go by the wayside, just like they do with every other thing,
Well,
every
when
single
you're a
thing.
Republican, you can run in a state you're not even registered to vote in, like the Pillow Man.
Oh,
Mike
God.
Lindell.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's running for a seat in a state that he's not even registered to vote in.
That is insane to me. Like, what are we doing here? And you know what's crazy to me is that a lot of people don't realize these things because now, probably one of the nastiest races that I've ever seen in terms of, and I could be wrong, but here in the state of Texas, when we were talking about Cornyn and Paxton, I don't know if you got to see some of those ads. They were vile. I mean, they were absolutely going for the jugular at every opportunity. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. I mean, they aired all of the dirty laundry for everybody to see. I was here for it. Like, I love to see two
I love
Republicans
to
go at
watch them
each other.
eviscerate one another.
I mean, I'm like, tell me more. But it was really bad. And here's what this tells you. The fact that they were able to get so much dirt from each other tells you exactly the type of candidates that the Republican crew puts up to run for office. How is it that they had so much fucking material to do that bullshit? that's scary. That's crazy talk. Like that is insanity. You shouldn't have
I
that much
learned things
material of corruption.
about Cornyn from Paxton slinging dirt at him, and I learned things about Paxton from Cornyn slinging dirt. I was like,
Right.
y'all aren't very good at politics. Y'all are trying to destroy one another. That's really not how a primary is supposed to go. But
Right.
okay. Thanks for doing the heavy lifting for me.
Right. It's like you do you, boo. Like that was really bad. That was really bad. And so now that he's going after Talarico, and he can't really, they're just going for any little thing. And this man is just, I mean, James is just such a good person in general, from what I can tell. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but he's diabetic. And he was actually, when he was running, I think it was for the first time that he was running for the Senate. He was going door to door, knocking on people's door, and he had made a commitment. If I remember this story correctly, if I don't, I'm just bear with me. But basically, what he had said is that he was taking like a 10-mile walk, and he was stopping at strategic locations along the way, and talking to like people along the way. And halfway through it, he felt really, really sick, but he still continued on. He's like, I got really thirsty. I felt really weak, but I've completed my task that day and I did what I was supposed to do. He said, then after that, I went home and I fell asleep and I slept for 36 hours. And after a while, his family started to get concerned about him and said, there's something wrong here. I mean, that's more than just being tired. And he just kept drinking water, drinking water, drinking water before he had actually passed out. Come to find out, when they took him to the hospital, his sugar level was 900. That is comatose. That is basically almost dead. Your sugar level should be in the hundreds, like 120 max or something like that. His was 900. He needed insulin. He was a diabetic, didn't know it. He had no idea. So when it was time for him to get his diabetic, his insulin, he found out how much the medication was, this life-saving medication that millions upon millions of people need every single day in order for them to survive. He realized that people that did not have means were not going to be able to get their insulin. People are actually dying because they're having to ration their insulin because they can't afford it. They can't afford it. And that is because of the stuff that goes on here in our
That's
government where they
some
make
third
it,
world shit, honey.
oh my
That's third
God,
world shit. The
people are
current
dying
regime
because of
always
it.
talks about other countries and third world trash. Take a look around. Because in what's supposed to be the richest, freest country in the world, people are dying in the streets because they can't get access to readily available medication. It's just too expensive.
It's
That's third
insanity.
world bullshit, honey.
It
That's what
is
that
third
is.
world bullshit.
That's not first world living.
So this is an issue obviously that impacts millions of people. And you know what he did for Texas? He made sure that insulin was an affordable medication that everybody could access. He brought it down under $50. It was in the hundreds, Christina, for people to be able to get their insulin medication. He brought it down. I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, I'm not diabetic, but I want to say it's about $35 now where people can access their insulin. Like, this is a person that is truly working for people. He passed that legislation in order for people to have access to access to affordable health care, which is what which is what every lawmaker should be doing for Americans. But we can't afford health care, we can't afford housing, we can't afford our gas, we can't even afford homes. You know that I'm a Gen Xer. I bought my very first home at the age of 21. 21. My house was $50,000. I told my daughter, she almost fell out. She's like, $50,000. You can't even get a decent car for that now. But it was 50,
$50,000, you can get yourself a shed.
right? Not even that
You
nowadays.
can buy a garage to park your
Right.
car in because that's
It
where
was
you're going
a
to be living.
it was my starter home. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, living room, kitchen, backyard, the whole 9 yards, 2-car garage. That is not something that our generation now can do. The generation that's coming up now, my daughter, my son, there is no way that they could afford a home now. There's no way that they could afford a home. It's just this entire administration, and he's making sure that the people that have homes, they're doing well, but the people that are going to try to get a home, because all of the developers and all of the
He said
millionaires and
he's
billionaires are
not
snatching up the
interested.
properties.
Yeah, he's not interested in lowering the cost of homes because he wants to, and I quote, he wants to make people who own properties feel special
Right,
and important.
right.
But
That's
not the
crazy.
average American who wants to buy a home. You don't get to feel special or important in any kind of way because some other white man who bought up the whole block really needs to feel special.
Which
That's
brings me back to my point where this man has 16 properties, probably more. He has 16 and people can't even buy one. How do you sleep at night? Like seriously, how the fuck do you sleep at night knowing full good and well that you're over there with luxury properties and buying up houses left and right where people can't even buy a home. They're stuck in a situation where they either have to rent or so many people have gone homeless now because they can't afford shit. They can't
I
afford
was
a
on
roof
my
over
way
their
home
head.
from handling business yesterday, and as I turned on the main street that brings me to my house, there was a man standing on the corner with a sign that says, "I'm a vet and I'm hungry. Please help."
I mean, how does this not break your
It's every
heart?
day. It's
It's
every day.
insane. It's insane. We have to, and I want to get back to, some of the things where I had started off where I was saying, I know that black voters are upset that, Jasmine did not win the state of Texas. And I get it. Valid. Absolutely. I feel that with every fiber of my being. I wanted Jasmine. And so many people are saying now, the black community is saying that they're just going to sit this one out. And I don't want to offend anybody. Like that is not my intention. And I'm treading lightly here because I don't know how this is going to come across and how it's going to be received. And I'm not going to pretend like I know your grievance because I'm brown and you're black. I'm not going to pretend that because I don't know what you've gone through. But I know what racism is because I experience it daily. Uh, and I know that both of our ancestors have gone through slavery and mistreatment because of the color of our skin. And I also know that the black community and the brown community are not properly represented in any state, in any government, in any government office, specifically as it pertains to women. I get all of that. Trust me when I tell you that I want to see the majority of our government offices to be held by women because I believe that this would be a completely different place if that were the case, simply because women are nurturing and care about people. 90% of them are. There's some evil women in the world, but you know what I'm saying? But
Be
for the
weary of
most
women
part,
who look like me because
but you're,
they'll
you're
be quick to let you
not.
the hell down, honey. I just
Oh,
I said all the time, don't invest all your trust in me because at the end of the day, I'm still a white woman doing the best that I can. Okay. But yeah, I don't
but
trust fucking white women. And I'm a white
that
woman.
speaks volumes though for you, who you are, that you don't, but you are not, you're not, you could go, okay, you could use that argument in the same way, Christina, where you would say, how they say that Mexicans are lazy or all Mexicans are, violent and Mexicans are this. There is always going to be a small percentage that does not represent the majority of the population.
That's right. That's right.
There is
That's
always
right.
going to be a small batch of bad apples. And I truly believe in my heart of hearts, I believe that truly people are innately good. But when they're constantly being poisoned and indoctrinated by a government specifically that uses vile, disgusting language and actually preys on their fears, that's what gets us to the point that we're at today. And that's what the Republican crew is doing right now, especially as it pertains to the older generation, not mine specifically, maybe some of mine, but particularly as it pertains to the boomers, because all they do is watch Fox News and all they do is just constantly fed all of this information. And when they come out of that coma that they're in, they're going to see that this is not how it's supposed to be. But anyway, circling back to, they are wanting to sit out this race because they have a grievance against Talarico because he won, and they believe so many things. I don't even want to pretend like I know what all of their grievances are because I don't. I'm not black. I'm not part of the black community. I just know that I've seen so many creators talking about how they're just going to sit this one out because they're going to see what their vote means and the value that it brings. I see the value that it brings, but sitting a vote out is literally giving the opposing party the power to have, giving them more power
It's
over
giving
your
white
life,
supremacists more power.
over
And
your
I
life.
understand it too. Like growing up in this country white, I have plenty of representation. I don't have to look around to find white women and white women in power to feel representative,
Hmm.
represented. So
Hmm.
I can look at the other side and see that they don't feel seen because people that look like them are not getting pushed into power like they should be. And I know people are tired of voting for the lesser of two evils,
I know.
but look at it this way. A choice between Ken Paxton and Talarico is not voting for the lesser of two evils. One is evil. One has made it very clear that not only when you look at him, you don't see yourself, but when he looks at you, he doesn't see you. When you look at Talarico, he may not look like you. He may not have the same color skin as you. He may not have the same life experience as you. So when you look at him, he may not seem like somebody that represents you. But at the end of the day, when he looks back at you, he sees you.
Hmm. Yeah.
And if that's all we have right now, then that's what we got to take. I get told every day by people that the reason that they love me is I make them feel seen.
Hmm.
And I've watched Talarico over the past year, and he sees people.
Hmm.
He knows how to, I hate to use the word empathy because it turns so many people off because it's become a bad word, but it's very important. Talarico oozes empathy.
He really
When
does.
he looks at you, he sees you. And more than just seeing you, he has the ability to see himself in you.
Hmm. Hmm.
He has the ability to look at every child and see his own children. He has the ability to look at every woman and see his wife, every man and see himself. When Ken Paxton looks at you, he doesn't see himself. He sees something less than himself. And immediately he doesn't care. He's
He's
already
never
put
cared.
himself on a pedestal. So being seen goes both ways. Just because when you look at somebody, you can't quite see yourself in them yet, if they're willing to see themselves in you, it's a better choice.
Right. It's
It's a better
absolutely a
choice.
better choice. Yeah. It's definitely a better choice.
I
I
think,
feel like, go ahead.
I think at the end of the day, after the election's over, after we vote, and after Talarico takes that seat in the Senate, you're going to see him become much more hard-lined to fight for Black communities and brown communities.
I believe that.
On the
I really
campaign
do.
trail, he's in a tight situation. He's in a tight situation. He's not bending the knee and saying only what Republicans want him to say or what the white people wanted him to say, but he realizes that he's going to need support from all places.
Hmm.
So he's trying his best during the campaign to see
Hmm.
everyone
Right.
equally.
Right.
But if you're wanting hard line talking points and a firm stance right now, this close to the midterms, that could cost him the election. I fully believe that if we elect Talarico and he gets into the Senate, you're really going to see him come in and be a whole lot harder on Israel and the genocide. You're going to see him come in, and once he's firmly got that seat, he's going to be a whole lot harder against white supremacy. He's going to be a voice that empowers and lifts up the Black community, the brown community, the queer community. I'm not a Christian. I don't believe in religion. But Talarico is what, to me, a Christian should be,
Right. I agree. I
right?
agree.
He
Yeah.
is.
I
This is
totally agree
not
with that.
voting for the lesser of two evils. This is not taking the Black community stepping backwards.
Hmm.
But not voting takes black and brown communities backwards.
It
Voting
does.
for a Republican takes them backwards.
It does.
We are on a fast track to the destruction of democracy in this country.
Hmm.
There's no guardrails in place. James Talarico is a guardrail.
He is. He is. Opting out is not it's not an
And it's just
option.
not an option.
It's
It's
just
just
not
not
an
an
option.
option.
Mm-mm.
How can we, they've already stripped so much away. How can we even begin to rebuild something if we get in our feelings and get angry
Right.
and not move?
Right. I understand
Freezing,
the anger.
freezing's not going to work.
Mm-mm. It's not.
It's not going to work. We're not in a normal election. This is not the 90s.
Right.
This is not normal politics as it used to be.
No.
This is not your average Republican Party and your average
No.
Democrat Party, and we're
No.
choosing the
Mm-mm.
lesser of two evils here. This is a completely different landscape. This is a different game, honey. This is a different game. And if you choose not to play this new game, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
You've
We
got to
have
join
to.
in and you got to play.
I feel like if you don't participate, if you say, I'm going to sit this one out just so that you can see how important my vote is, which again, valid
Valid.
reasons as to why you're
Valid.
upset. But
Valid.
doing that literally gives them the ammunition for the gun that they want to use against you.
Look,
Literally.
first off, everybody knows how important the black vote is.
We
They know
do.
it. That's why they
Right.
eviscerated the Voting Rights Act, because
That's
they
exactly
know
right.
that it's an important vote.
Hmm.
They know it is.
Right.
You're not proving anything about how important your vote is by not voting.
Right.
The reason they don't want you to vote, honey,
That's
the
right.
white man doesn't want you to vote.
That is exactly why they
They've been trying to
gerrymandered
prevent you
every
from
fucking
voting since the
state.
minute they said you could vote.
Exactly. Yeah.
So a protest of doing nothing is giving them exactly
What they want.
what they want.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I'm not in
I
the
really wish
business of giving the bad man what the fucking bad man wants.
never, never.
But
I
I'm
just
not going to
hope
sit
that
here and tell you to go out and vote. That is your
me either.
choice. But I
That
am
is
warning you
absolutely your
right
choice.
now, you are doing exactly
What
what
they
the
want.
Klan wants you to do.
Hmm.
You're doing exactly what they want you to do. And
Yep.
if you don't think it's them behind the division that's happening, if you don't think it is the white Republicans and the white supremacists and the land that is not real that has been on a campaign to drive black voters away from Talarico, I, I, I don't know how I can wake you up to see it.
Right. Right. No, it's true. It's
The same,
absolutely
the
true.
same people in the Green Party, the same white women who took to the internet that had all that shit to say about Kamala Harris were being paid behind the scenes by Republican PACs and AIPAC and Israel and all of that. That's who was
We
doing
just,
it.
it's absolutely
And they're
correct.
at it again.
Yep. They're at it again. Because
They're playing on your emotions. They
they
know this
know
is hard for you to wrap your head around with,
they
and
do.
they've stuck that knife in, and they're going to twist it and twist it and twist it and twist it all they can. And I don't know
They are.
about you, but as for me, I would take that knife out, I would head to the fucking polls, and I'd put it in my ballot right away because I want freedom and I want equality in this country. And not voting or throwing your vote the way of somebody who does not want that and has never done anything to help you is getting us nowhere real fucking fast.
I agree. I agree. Yes, come on now. Like this is getting to be so hard. I watch it and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is not the way. This is not the way.
This is
This is
not the
not the
way.
way.
This is not the
And
way.
I
I
I
would
really
totally agree
wish,
with you if it was politics as normal. Let's
right,
take a stance. Let's not vote. Let's show the Democratic Party what the hell we mean today.
right, right.
I get
But
it.
this is not the
But this
time.
is not the Democratic Party fighting against the Republican Party. This is the Democratic Party fighting against Nazis and authoritarian regimes and
It's a
Zionists.
different it's a
This
different
is
animal.
different.
This is very
This is
different.
different.
And it's literally giving them all of the ammunition that they need in order for them to eviscerate what we've got to do come the midterms. We have to win the midterms. And we are set to win the midterms because of the reason that they're doing all of the things that they're doing is because they already know that they've lost. They've lost. So they're going to do everything. They are pulling every trick out of the book in order for them to see what they can do to try to
I mean,
gain some of the
they
trust
said it.
back, but they
They
can't.
admitted it. Their strategy is a hate election.
It is.
And if you think they're just going to be slinging hate at the Democratic candidate, you've missed it.
Hmm.
They're going to be slinging hate within the party so that Democrats can't even decide on their own candidate. So they
That's so,
become disillusioned and they don't vote.
yeah, yeah. That is not the
And
play.
I'm from Alabama and I've grew up in black communities. And the most important thing that I learned in black communities is never let somebody tell you that you shouldn't vote,
Yeah.
that voting is change.
Yeah.
Don't let somebody take your vote away from you
People
because it
fought
matters.
for this right. Why would you not use it? Your grandmother, your grandmother's grandmother, your great grandparents, they all fought for the right to vote, and you're pissing it away because you are upset, and I get it. But really, this is not the time. This is not the time. Just like you said, if it was politics as usual, if we were doing something like this back in the 90s, I could see that. But literally fighting Nazis right now. And it's going
If
to
you
take
could tell
everything.
me one, just one bad thing about Talarico, something that you know for a fact he would do that would hurt you, then I could understand.
Hmm.
But when the other guy, when his whole entire plan is to hurt you, and you're not gonna try to fight back against that, that makes no sense.
It doesn't. You know what? And I don't think that people understand. And maybe they do. And it's ignorant of me to even say that they don't understand. But when he's running for the Senate, to be the for the Senate seat from Texas, he's not running for Texas. It's one Senate vote that can be the difference between policy for the entire United States. Imagine if you gave that power to Paxton and what he would do when he's done so many terrible
It's
things
not
in the
just gonna
state of
be black
Texas.
Americans in Texas that are oppressed. It's
Girl,
gonna be black and brown Americans all over the
across the
United
United
States.
States. Right now,
It's
they
gonna
are
be women
contained.
too, no
Exactly.
matter their skin color.
Hmm. They're contained in Ken Paxton is contained in Texas. If you elect him to the Senate for the United States, his vote, his
The
ideologies,
fraud, the
his
bribes, the
across
abuse,
the United States,
it becomes the whole United States'
all
problem
of it,
then.
and all of
It
it,
becomes everyone's problem.
not just Texas anymore. And that's what I think people don't understand. This is so important because it does not just affect Texas, it affects the entire United States, and the level of gross would be affected. The level of gross that he would be taking with him to the Senate for the United States is just so bad. It's so bad. Why wouldn't you elect a man like James Talarico that has clearly shown that he can be work bipartisan issues and truly cares about American people and has shown it over and over again with his time in the House in the state of Texas? You want that type of person to represent you in the United States Senate because his policies and his ideologies will be absolutely implemented across the United States. You want that type of ideology in the United States.
I'll put it to you another way. Ken Paxton wins because people don't come out and vote for Talarico. At that moment, any chances that a black candidate has go out the window.
Gone.
The
Completely gone.
future of Jasmine's career is ended
Hmm.
because another racist white man is in control. If we want Jasmine to have a future in the political career, to work for people, if we want black candidates to have the opportunity to win seats,
Hmm.
we have to take back control of the House and the Senate too. We have to take back control of the narrative with people who are willing to prop up candidates that don't look like them. And James Talarico is willing to prop up candidates down ballot and above ballot too that don't
He
look
has been
like
doing
him.
that. Hmm.
Are they doing that in the GOP? Are they supporting down ballot candidates that don't look like them?
Not even
Are
close.
they making room in their Congress today for more women
Nope.
and black and brown Americans?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
So when I look at what happened in that Senate primary, I was very disappointed. I wanted it to be Jasmine.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that Talarico leaves the door open and doesn't just leave it open, he opens it a little bit wider to let people like Jasmine go further,
Mm-hmm.
to let people like AOC go further.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just think about this race today. You need to think about next year's races. You need to think about the year after that. And what is Congress going to look like in 3 years with more Republicans in control?
If we
It's
think
going
it's
to look a
hard now,
lot wider, is what it's
oh
going to look like.
God, I got a headache just thinking about it. Let's literally. Because if we think it's bad now, I mean, if that were to happen, I don't know that I could continue to be here. It will
Exactly.
become so unsafe. It's already so bad.
I mean, I'm sure, just like me and you, almost every American family that can understand what's going on has pondered in the last year, am I going to have to leave this country? Am I going to have to leave this country in 2028?
Hmm.
People are preparing to
They
leave.
are. They are. That's how dire this situation is. It is that serious. It is that serious. And I want people to understand that. I really, really want them to understand that. We cannot cut off our nose to spite our face.
No,
It cannot be.
no.
It cannot
If you
be.
look, if you go back and look at the times that we've had a Democratic president, a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, every single administration that was Democratic opened the door for more women in
Hmm.
positions of power,
Hmm.
more Latinos, more Hispanics, more Black Americans, Asian Americans. That's when that happened. Every single time that Democrats had control, they opened that door wider to let more diversity into positions of power. Every time Republicans have control, women are pushed away, minorities are pushed away, and it
Hmm.
becomes more white men. Every time.
It's just so
Every
sad.
time.
It's so sad.
And not just your average white men, the kind
No.
of white men that think they're superior
Hmm.
to everyone else.
Right.
So disagree with Talarico, feel bad about it, don't vote, vote. But cutting your nose off to spite your face in this particular race means that in future races, you also are not going to have a choice between a black or a brown candidate. There will be no choices between a woman and a man.
Nope. Nope. You're right. I'm 100% correct.
Quit
That is
looking
absolutely
at the tree and look at the forest
right.
before they cut the fucking forest down and turn it into a data center, okay?
Oh my God. Don't even get me started. That's going to be a whole nother podcast, girl. That's going to be
We're
a
in the
whole.
fight for our lives. And
Oh
and
my
I want to
God.
make sure that no matter how much racism is here today, that by next year and the year after that, that people like AOC could be president, people like Jasmine Crockett could be president. And if we don't start voting the right way, that opportunity is going to be wiped completely off of the table.
Right. Yes, it will be.
Completely off of the table.
Yeah.
And if you love Jasmine, what is she asking you to do? She's asking you to support Talarico
Hmm.
because she knows that if Ken Paxton takes that Senate seat, that in Texas, there'll never be another senator that's black or brown.
Nope. Nope.
There'll never be a, a black or brown governor. There'll never be a House and a Senate that's filled with the actual demographic that lives in that state. She
Hmm.
knows that.
Right. She does.
And she's thinking into the future.
Right.
We
Yeah.
need everybody else to.
I agree. I agree with you, sister, for real. I just, I wanted to talk about this specifically for that reason, because I think it's really important. I mean, it's important to show the differences between the two candidates. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and put all of that shit on full display. But if you were to sit down and literally look at the difference between James Talarico and Ken Paxton, it's night and day. There is no comparison. There is no way on God's green earth that you could think that sitting out a vote is going to help
Send a
the state of
message.
Texas.
What's the message it's sending?
That they got you? I mean,
That's the message. The message is I'm gonna be like them and let it burn the fuck down.
yeah.
That's the
I
message.
mean,
The message is I don't care enough to, stop an adultering fraudster from
yeah,
taking control. That's the
yeah,
message. That's
yeah.
the message. I don't care about myself enough to protect my future vote
Or your children for that matter.
or your children's
Imagine.
future vote.
Right. I mean, it's
You know,
it's
if you
it's
if you want to do a protest vote, not voting is not the protest. The
right.
protest is voting so overwhelmingly that it sends the message: we're not going to take a fraudster, we're not going to take a felon, we're not going to take this. We no longer will allow you to put this up as our candidate anymore. That's the message you're supposed to be trying to send with a vote: what you want and what you don't want.
Right. I agree. Yeah, no.
You don't send a
110%.
message by not voting.
No.
It's
You
you
absolutely don't.
boycotting democracy does not send a message.
Nope. It does not send a message. Let
I'm
me
gonna
see how
boycott
that works.
democracy today because things are not going my way. No shit's not going your way. Do you think it's gonna go your way when you boycott democracy?
No, no, no. We
That's
cannot
not
do
the message
that.
I was taught by the black community. That is
No.
not the message that I was taught by freedom fighters and the freedom riders and the civil rights activists in my
Exactly.
state. That is
Some
not the
of the
message that I was taught. I was taught that the best way to protest is to vote.
right. Imagine some of the some of the strongest, most powerful people I have ever seen, ever have protested in several different ways, but they have literally stuck their neck out and done more for democracy than I would have to say just about anybody. Seriously. They are so strong. They've come so far in all of the things that they've gone through. And I just don't see how this is a win for them when they decide to go ahead and stand out this vote. I hope to God that that's not the case. I really do hope that that is not the play for them, that they see that, the only way that we're going to be able to beat this corrupt, disgusting situation that we're in is if we all stand together. And it was so cute. It was the most adorable thing when I was there at the Talarico town hall. I was sitting, it was packed, by the way. Packed, girl. Like there was, I mean, I had sat down. We got there early because I told Jen I want to make sure I have a seat. So we sit down, and a lot of the seats were kind of like reserved towards the front. And I was like, oh my gosh, I guess there's not going to be that many people. By the time that 7 o'clock rolled around, it was standing room only. They were standing outside of the church door. There were so many people there. I was standing room only. People wanted to hear what he had to say. And I was sitting next to this little old black man. He was the most adorable thing. And he's like, I have some questions for him. And he had them written down. He's like, my wife wants me to ask these questions. And he shows them to me and I read them. And they're both of them are about education and Medicare and Medicaid. And so I read them and they ended up covering them there. So throughout the time that we're sitting there talking, he's like, I want you to talk to your people and I'll talk to mine. And he
That's
kept
right.
fist bumping me, and I'm like,
That's right.
listen, I'm talking to my people. Trust me when I tell you. I wish I had gotten his name. I really do. I don't know why I didn't ask him
The
his
only
name,
way
but
out of this is through this, and we got to do it together.
exactly. But he kept fist bumping, and he kept saying, he's like, don't you forget, talk to your people. He was the cutest thinking thing. I want to say he was probably in his 80s. He was adorable. And the fact that an 80-year-old man thought, and I have to say that he was at least thought it was important enough for him to come out to a town hall meeting shows you how important this is.
This is
Shows you
important.
how
This
important
is
this race
important.
is. It's
How many
super
town
important.
halls has Ken Paxton had? How many times has he been willing to speak to the people? How many times has Ken Paxton addressed any of your issues? Oh, wait, zero. He couldn't even finish a press conference yesterday before storming off the stage.
He was like, "What the fuck
Yeah.
was that?" Like seriously,
I'll
and he's
back
not going
somebody
to.
who's trying all day long.
Right. You can't put
And
all of the
that's one
sins of
thing you can say
Texas
about
on one
Talarico
person.
is he is trying. He's trying to make
He
sure he
really is.
hears from everybody. He's trying to make sure he knows what he needs to do to make every Texan happy, as well as every person in America today. And that's not an easy job, but he's picked it up and he's decided to do it.
He's doing his best. How are you going? You cannot put all of the sins of Texas on one man. I mean, honestly. I mean, I get it. Texas is fucked up. But you can't put all of the sins of Texas on one man. It's just not, it's
It's
just
just not.
crazy.
It's
It's
just
crazy
crazy.
to me.
It's crazy. Listeners, we're going to take a small break while you listen to a message from our sponsors. We'll be back with the tea. Well, well, well. Before we get back to the tea, this episode was brought to you by Not Your Merch. If you like your politics loud and your merchandise louder, dear, then head on over there. Podcast 10 for a discount, friend. They've got all the unapologetically loud apparel you need. Shirts, drinkware, and so much more. Like these cute little guillotine earrings for the GOP's tiny peens. Anyway, we'll be back with the tea. Head on over to Not Your Merch and have a view. You might want to purchase something soon that suits you.
Definitely
Right.
wanted to talk
Something
about
I
this.
want to add to it is if you're looking for something you can do today, James Talarico's campaign is well funded. He's
Hmm.
good.
Hmm.
Just support him.
Hmm.
But start looking at down ballot candidates. And something that is really important to me is who we pick as our governors of state. Now, we all want Gina, right? And let me tell you why this is so important. Because something that Republicans are doing are trying to eviscerate states' rights.
Hmm.
And they can do that through the governor. And
Hmm.
that is why they are specifically moving some Republicans out of the House and out of the Senate too, to have them run as governors in their
That's right.
states
That's
so
right.
that they can take states' rights away. And we're watching
Hmm.
them cut through states' rights every day. So I feel like we need to talk about Gina more. We need more light on her.
Right.
So Talarico is seen on the world stage. Everybody who don't even participate in American politics knows who the hell he is today.
Right.
Thanks
Right.
to the GOP, thanks
Right.
to the
Right.
orange thing not being able to keep his mouth shut about
Exactly.
Talarico. He's elevated this race into, something the whole United States sees. We need more of that around Gina too. I need the whole world to know who she is. We need more content. Maybe she
We'll
needs more
definitely be
money in her
talking about her.
campaign to do
Mhm.
more advertising, make more ads or whatever, because her footprint isn't as large as Greg
It's not.
Abbott's. She's playing from the back to the front. And it's more important than I think people realize, especially for Texas who loves their state's rights. Uh,
Right.
Greg is handing them over to
And
the
to
federal
every, yes.
government.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure Gina's not going to do that.
No, she's not going to do that. And she's
So
so well
I would
spoken
like
too.
to encourage people that aren't even Texans to go to Gina's, website, whatever, look up what you need to look up. Start talking about her. Start talking
We'll have
about her.
some
Start making
resources.
videos. Look up some
Right.
resources. Bring
No,
some
we'll have
attention
some
to that
resources
too.
for
Let's
the
put a
fundraising.
whole lot of pressure on every race in Texas
Hmm.
because the GOP's not doing well
No,
under pressure as of late.
no, no, they're not.
So
We're
it
going to
needs
have
to
some
be everywhere, not just this Senate race, which is extremely important because there's a whole lot of power in the Senate when it comes time to that impeachment and conviction part.
exactly,
We gonna
exactly,
need the Senate for that. It don't matter if we
exactly.
have the House. When it comes time to impeach and actually convict and remove these people, we need power in the Senate
That's exactly right. We need the power in the Senate, and James Talarico will
to
make
do
sure that
that.
that happens. Yeah,
And
yeah.
James Talarico is going to make sure that happens.
Yeah, he is. We're going to have actually resources in the caption of this video talking about how you can donate to James Talarico and you can donate to Gina Hinojosa, because we want to make sure that you have the proper resources. We're also going to have the sources for where we got all of our information regarding the stories that we spoke about today, because it's important for us to be as factual as we possibly can. Obviously, we were spilling a little bit of tea and some of it was alleged, but we know that everything that we looked up, everything for the most part, all came out in the Texas Tribune for me, almost all of it. All of it. Some of it in AP News. They were all listed everywhere, but we will have resources for you. We also think that it's important for you to have resources and letters that you may need to have in ways that you can go ahead and contact your local representatives as well as your current state representatives. So we're going to have some information also in the captions for you to be able to access that information, because we want to give you action items, because I know that not everybody can go out and protest. Not everybody can make content like Christina and I can. I know not a lot of people are capable of doing that, but don't feel like you don't have a voice and don't feel like there's nothing you can do. You can volunteer to do street walks. You can volunteer to go ahead and work the phones. You can volunteer to do some of the mailing that
You
they
can
do.
do your own little petty campaigning. You can whip out your printer and some printer paper, and you can print out some scandalous facts about Ken Paxton today. And you can go sit those papers in a bathroom at Target. I don't care where you put them, honey.
Right.
You can go to the local laundromat and just sit the stack there. You can go to your
Those are
church this
facts.
weekend. Slip them
Facts, girl.
behind the Bible in the pews.
Exactly. Yeah,
There's
there's
so
so
many
many
things you can
things.
do.
So
You
many.
know,
So
and you
many
can
things.
access your petty. I do it all the time, honey. I do it all the
Yeah.
time. I print things out, and just put them in random places for people to
You
see
need
them.
to. Listen, it will make you feel so much better. I'm not even kidding. It makes me feel so much better to know that I've taken
You can
some sort
sign
of
up to be a
action.
poll worker. You can sign up to
Hmm.
somebody to do calling on the phone.
Hmm.
There are so many ways that you
Yeah.
can help get the message out.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
we
many
just
ways.
want you to know. Yeah, we want you to know that there's just so many things. And we're going to continue to bring the tea. We're going to continue to talk about all of the things that need to be talked about. In our next episode, we're going to be talking about the
Mhm.
war.
The war, the military, the incompetence of the DUI hire at the DOD, the amount
All
of
of those
money that
things.
it's costing you and me,
Right.
and all sorts of things
Right. Yeah. We're going to
that
be
have to
talking
do
about
with
all of
that.
that. Yeah.
And something that I found to be very suspicious, but you're going to have to tune in the next episode to hear it.
I can't wait. Babe, it's always so good to talk to you.
You too, babe. You too.
I'll see you on the next one, okay?
All right.
Love you. Bye.